Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studio. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. This is live stream 940. This is your first time tuning in. Let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally we'll take a first look at a game. Every once in a while I'll do a live review. But for the most part here on the Dispatch, we're usually doing an unboxing or a page through, something along those sorts of avenues. And that will be the case tonight, as I'm going to dive on in and take a look at the Barracks Emperors from GMT Games. So that is coming up in just a bit. So I should mention, if you're not overly familiar with the show, we do tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are tuning in live, just kick back, relax, put your feet up. We'll get to it. No need to be impatient. It'll probably be about 40 minutes, would be my guess, when we're going to get into the unboxing. Now, if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the show has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you are impatient, you'll be able to jump right on past all the tabletop gaming news. Although I've got a nice eclectic mix tonight, you might want to hang out and check it out. But if you really just want to get into that unboxing, you'll be able to jump ahead. And depending on the device you happen to be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video. So all depends on what you happen to be watching the Gaming Gang Dispatch on. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the Gaming Gang channel. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. One of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, maybe there's something about the Barracks Emperors you'd like a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight was Kathy Evans. We've got Kevin R. Smith, Mark Dandy, Jack Hanks, and Shaz are also with us. And before I forget, so is Stray Kismet in the house. So chat is off and running already. My apologies. It took about an extra 5 minutes to get the show rocking and rolling tonight, because I went to begin the stream and got an error message from the OBS studio that I used to stream the show. Actually, I use it to record all my videos. And I was like, what? Wait a second, what's going on here? Obviously enough, another update of some sort. Thankfully, I was able to track it down pretty quickly and iron that out. So, about 5 minutes late getting the show started tonight. We'll point out we've got some nasty weather here in the Chicagoland area. Fingers crossed we don't see a power outage because it's coming down pretty good. Pretty good. All righty. Hopefully, everybody here in the US at least enjoyed a very fun and safe 4th of July. Mine was kind of boring. It's okay. I went over by my brother's house and hung out there for a bit. My dad, my mom, and my nephew, my niece. My nephew had a bunch of his friends over, and not much too exciting. I think I was actually probably back home here by about 9 o'clock. So I was like, no big deal. All right, let's jump on into the news because making its way into stores later this month is the Stuff of Legends from 3rd World Studios. And I've got the latest on this, I guess we would say, plushy sort of game. As Allied forces fight the enemy on Europe's war torn beaches, another battle begins in a child's bedroom in Brooklyn when the nightmarish boogeyman snatches a boy and takes him to the realm of the dark. The child's playthings, led by the toy soldier known as the Colonel, band together to stage a daring rescue. On their perilous mission, they will confront the boy's bitter and forgotten toys, as well as betrayal in their own ranks. In the Stuff of Legend, each player takes on the role of one of the boy's local toys. Loyal toys. Well, I guess they're local too. Each with their own unique abilities. Players work cooperatively, scouring the dark in search of the boy before the boogeyman can escape with him. Players beware. Through the course of the game, your allegiance may change, and at any point, one of your fellow players could be secretly working against you for the wicked boogeyman. The Stuff of Legend is for 3 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $70 when it arrives in stores on July 26th. I thought this looked relatively interesting. Jack Hanks points out the first thing that popped in my head when I was taking a look at this kind of sounds like the game Stuffed Fables. In theme, I would say, yeah, probably pretty similar. In execution, probably quite different. But it's not as if we haven't heard other stories of, toys going off in search of saving their owner or protector or what have you. But I kind of think this is a little interesting because it's supposed to be taking place in the 1940s while the world is at war. So that's kind of an interesting backdrop to this. Once again, it is the Stuff of Legend from 3rd World Studios, and it will carry an MSRP of $70 when it hits stores later this month. Now available from Funko Games is Indiana Jones Sands of Adventure. Here's what I know. Time is running out. It's up to Indiana Jones and his friends to rescue the Ark of the Covenant before it falls into the wrong hands. Scour ancient Tanis to find the elusive relic while building up your strength and resources. But if the sand timer suddenly swings over, it triggers a race to survive. Battle the scheming Colonel Dietrich, the dangerous Major Tot, and the ruthless Dr. Renee Belloc to save the Ark. In Indiana Jones Sands of Adventure, a game of cooperative strategy and quick card playing, players work together to defeat different villains before the timer runs out by moving characters, playing cards, upgrading tiles, and attacking enemies. Scour ancient Tanis to find the elusive relic while building up your strength and resources. This includes 4 sculpted figures and original art depicting the beloved characters, exciting scenes, and fearsome snakes of the Indiana Jones films. It includes a swinging sand timer that flips when filled with gems. Race against the sand and suspenseful cooperative gameplay. There's also variable setup and unique character powers, which will change the game each time you play. Indiana Jones Sands of Adventure is out in stores now. It is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays around 45 minutes, and carries an MSRP of $29.99. Well, let's see. I'm kind of intrigued. To be honest, I really like the artwork that they've got on the cards. They've actually done some really nice work on this. So it's been a long time since I played a Funko game title. And I don't know. This is striking me as it looks like it's going to be another one of their lighter weight games, especially seeing it's supposedly for ages 8 and up. But hey, just in time as the newest Indiana Jones movie has hit theaters. Coco B says, "Hey, all, I don't see any moderators. Time for shenanigans, unless one is lurking." Well, you got to remember, I can boot people too. So we have moderators just so if somebody gets out of hand, it's not going to derail the whole show for a few moments as I boot them out of chat. But yes, kind of surprising. Usually we have at least one chat moderator. Yes, as I drip soda right down my shirt. Brilliant, Jeff. Brilliant. Ay, ay, ay. Let's talk about some role playing game news because pre orders have begun for the latest role playing game bestiary from Cawood Publishing. Here's the skinny on Monsters of the Dungeon. Brave the Darkness. Brave the Darkness. We return to the heart of the game with a new monster book. Monsters of the Dungeon, Brave the Darkness is the 6th book in the best-selling Monsters series for 5e. This time also included are conversion tables for 1st and 2nd edition Pathfinder, Old School Essentials, and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Surprise your players with creatures they've never seen before. Monsters of the Dungeon, Brave the Darkness, has 120 new monsters, and there are 7 chapters detailing 7 types of dungeons: Arcane, Castle, Manor, Thieves Guild, Tomb, Wilderness, and Mountain. Each chapter also has encounters tables, an events table, and a locations table. And there are also over 300 quest ideas and many magic items. This hardcover carries an MSRP of $34.99. It's supposed to clock in around 170 pages. It is estimated to be shipping in December. So you have an opportunity to pre-order now. I believe this crowdfunded. So I'm pretty sure right now you're looking at like a late pledge in order to pre-order it. But gotta say, I have shared with you some of the Cawood Publishing monster books, and they are impressive. They're very, very well done, and some very interesting creatures. I mean, there's some that are included that it's kind of like, oh yeah, kind of surprised I've never seen that in like the monster manual for 5e. There's a few of those that seem to have been like left out in the cold. But then there are some very unique creatures and monsters as well. So definitely give this one a peek. Disavow 92 is joining us in chat. Speaking of how this crowdfunded, N Publishing has launched a Kickstarter to fund a starter set for the What's Old is New genreless role playing system. It's usually referred to as WOIN, WOIN. Here's the scoop on the crowdfunding project. What's Old is New, first released in 2016, is a tabletop role playing game designed for fantasy, modern, and science fiction adventuring. It features D6 dice pools, life path character creation, a flexible magic system, and much more, with fully compatible rules tailored to each genre of play. It's well supported with a wide range of additional rule books and adventures, and those have been out for quite some time. This all new What's Old is New starter box is perfect for those new to the game or for existing GMs looking to introduce players to the system. The box set comes with a 68-page softcover rulebook, which will also include a short bestiary, three 20-page softcover adventures, one fantasy, one modern, and one science fiction, three double sided poster sized battle maps, over 60 cardboard tokens for characters and monsters, 18 pre generated character handouts. I believe there's six for each of the adventures, as well as eight six-sided dice, virtual tabletop assets, and this is used with the Open Game License, Creative Commons, and ORC licenses. I would have shared a video, but unfortunately, the music would have flagged me for a copyright violation. So sorry. It was only about a minute long, not even a minute. But this project is already funded, and you can reserve a copy of the Wine starter set, including PDFs, for a pledge of approximately $31 through August 3rd. If I remember right, I think End Publishing is over in, I think they're in Britain, if I remember correctly. So there is a little bit of that exchange rate going on. That's why I say it's approximately $31. Anyway, this is going to run through August 3rd. If you want just the PDFs, if I remember correctly, I think it's $13 that you need to pledge for that. Now, expected delivery of the physical box is slated for next January, with the PDFs becoming available very soon after the end of this Kickstarter run. So keep that in mind. Just about 92 is like, let's all go to the lobby. Not yet. Not yet. We aren't to the intermission just yet. Final news piece. Now out in PDF for the Traveler role playing game is the World Builder's Handbook. I've got the latest from Mongoose Publishing. The World Builder's Handbook provides a complete tool set for expanding a world of or star system into a fully realized place to know and explore. It includes procedures for determining the type and location of a system's significant stars and worlds, an expansion of main world generation, and rules for determining the physical and social characteristics of the star system's other worlds. This handbook is both comprehensive and modular, with procedures designed to allow the referee to focus on the important aspects of a world or system's characteristics. The World Builder's Handbook includes knowledge gained from the thousands of exoplanetary systems discovered and covers habitable and hostile worlds, moons, gas giants, twilight worlds, and guidelines for the referee to determine what travelers can see in the skies above these worlds. It allows a referee to create star systems from scratch or expand existing profiles to refine a world's character. Also included are checklists, forms, examples, and the procedures and equipment used by the Imperial Interstellar Scout Service to survey and record information in the charted space universe, with a glossary of astronomical terms. The 256-page hardcover can be pre-ordered right now for $49.99. But as I already mentioned, The PDF alone is available right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. So we've got a new volume out there for Traveler, although it's a pretty niche product, I have to say. So if the game masters out there are looking to really refine their skills and build upon their skills as far as creating worlds for Traveler, this would be one to take a peek at. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storytellers Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And although he is not here with us in chat tonight, big thank you, big tip of the cap to the madman for very recently making a not small donation over at paypal.me. So thank you everybody out there who utilizes the banner ads and or visits paypal.me. Really is appreciated. Thank you kindly. All right, so we are going to be jumping on in and taking a look at the Barracks Emperors in a few moments. But there were a couple of things I did want to mention. We actually rocked through the news pretty quick. So even being late 5 minutes, it's still not even 7:30 Chicago time. So yeah, rock through that news in probably about 18 minutes or so. It's normally not the case like that around here. But in 2 weeks from tonight, I will be in San Diego for San Diego Comic Con. And I have to say, it is looking, as far as things that we've got scheduled, looking pretty slim. So, gotta say, all right, Disavowed 92's got to knock it off with the uh, intermission. It's like, yes, we know it's coming up. Relax, man, or I will boot you. Seriously. You're kind of dominating chat with the intermission thing. Anyway, so I have reached out, I guess, Titan Comics, who, if you visit thegaminggang.com, you know we will normally share what's coming out from Titan Comics if they've got like more than one issue coming out that week. So they have a new Conan series. I guess they now have the license to do Conan comics because it had been with Marvel and then Marvel lost it. Right about the same time as Modifius Entertainment lost the license for role playing games. But anyway, I was going to say that they're doing a new Conan comic and it's written by Jim Zub. So Jim Zub's done a lot of role playing game stuff in the past. So I have reached out to Titan Comics to see about maybe putting together an interview there. We've got an invite as far as going also from Titan Comics is a comic written by Jamie Lee Curtis, the Academy Award winning Jamie Lee Curtis. And I guess it's based on a screenplay that she did for a movie coming out from Blumhouse. So then we might get to interview Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know. To be honest, I think if they do something like that, that's probably going to be like press conference sort of raise your hand, ask a question, and that's it. So not a whole heck of a lot. I probably will do interviews with Funko and Mondo and Loungefly once again. So that's probably on the horizon. But yeah, it's really weird. I mean, as far as with the writer's strike, a lot of talent's not going to be there. In fact, right now, the Actors Guild is trying to decide if they're going to go on strike in solidarity with the writers. So I don't know. It's going to be very strange. So, so Bruno Azevedo is with us asking about San Diego Comic Con. Are there usually many role playing game related things going on there? No, there's very little gaming related things that go on at San Diego Comic Con. So every once in a while, we would see Wizards of the Coast might have a booth. Very rarely, because I mean, the reality is they usually don't even really have a booth at Gen Con anymore, where you can buy like D&D stuff. Um, there have been a handful of board game companies, like Mondo did a couple of board games. Well, actually, more than a couple, but they were probably best known for the Thing infection at Outpost 31. So I don't know. Like I said, kind of weird, kind of weird. So anything else going on in chat? Something expected from the D&D movie? No, that was last year. That was last year's Comic Con. They actually rented out a bar, and they they had nothing as far as being able to like sign up as the press. So I even reached out to the PR company that Wizards of the Coast uses to ask if they had any knowledge of how we could like get on the press list for the Dungeons and Dragons movie thing, and they had no clue whatsoever. So don't know, but no, I wouldn't think they would have anything with that. We might see. It's weird because Elliot's going with my best friend, and of course my brother and our other friend David. And Elliot was taking a look at how many studios and that just aren't going to be there. And it's not unusual, like Disney, Marvel Studios, not Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics normally will have an area in the exhibit hall in the comics section, but Disney, Marvel Studios, they don't go anymore because they want people to go to D23 for their announcements. So there's going to be no Marvel in Hall H, which is where you always see the big, press conferences and panels and stuff that take place. I have actually never even bothered going into Hall H because being the press doesn't help you at all. And if you want to get into Hall H, you got to like sit out there, in line the day before you want to get in. So Strike Kismet says, why? Was there a strike again? Well, as far as I understand, I don't think the writers have made any sort of a deal. I thought the writers are still on strike, unless I've missed something in the past couple of days. So, which is possible. It is certainly possible. But the word was that we were maybe going to see the Screen Actors Guild, this actors go on strike in solidarity with the writers. And I got to be honest, I'm with the writers on that. I mean, they're just all these streamers and stuff are making huge profits off of these writers who are getting scraps. I mean, their deal wasn't designed for streaming content, right? The the deal they had in place was more designed towards cable TV. That's kind of how it was. Flaming Heron is with us in chat. So there we go. Now we've got a chat moderator who's hanging out with us. All right. So we're going to dive on into the Barracks Emperors in just a few moments. But first, I know Disavowed 92 was waiting for this. I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
How about a delicious cup of Wilkins coffee? No! Strange things happen to people who don't drink Wilkins.
When I was a kid, I never went to the zoo. Now nobody will go.
Sugar Bear, Blob says we gotta leave the zoo.
Can't do that. Kids are coming tomorrow. Better have Super Sugar Crisp. Sugary vitamin cereal for superpower. Blob, you're through.
This is Blob Power, Bear.
Here's Superpower, Blob.
Look, the monkeys.
And there's a new cartoon book in Post Super Sugar Crisp. Collect all 4. Free, free, free.
No, Wonkins, no! It's been a while since we saw Wonkins by the farm. So there you have it. And I got to admit that Super Sugar Crisp commercial seemed kind of long for being like a Saturday morning commercial for cereal. It's like, geez, what is that, like over a minute? It's like, and you know, they make it out like Bing Crosby was cool. All righty then, tonight we are going to be diving on in for a first look at the Barracks Emperors from GMT Games. It's designed by Ray Farrell and Brad Johnson. Game is for, I believe it's for 1 to 4 players. I think there's a solitaire element to this. Ages 14 and up, plays in around 1 to 2 hours, and is available now. Carries an MSRP of $49 even. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Barracks Emperors. So first of all, let's get rid of shrink wrap here. So I'll get rid of some of this glare. And I will say that this box is actually kind of hefty. Now, this is supposed to be a card game, so which has me intrigued. Let's take a look at the back here. The Barracks Emperors is a strategy card game set against the backdrop of the Roman crisis of the 3rd century, during which at least 45 different men made a claim to the throne of the Roman Empire. In this game, 1 to 4 players, yep, there we go, so it was 1 to 4, represent prominent political factions attempting to gain control over the men who would be emperors of Rome. Players deploy the influence available to them, represented by the cards in their hands, to claim imperial reigns. But they must be very careful, for politics is a complex game, and sometimes attempting to exert your influence necessitates aiding someone else in their own plots. Play your cards cleverly to capture emperors and score the most points to win. I believe this is kind of a trick-taking game. So, all right, let's jump on in. See what we got here. So we have our rule book, which is actually very slim. Got a mounted board. Looks like we've got just a few tokens there. And then we've got some cards, but they are not like playing card size. They are square with rounded corners. So we'll be taking a look at those in just a bit. And then, of course, we've got the quality GMT insert with the artwork. I always like that. It's just a nice additional touch that we get. All right, we'll be looking at the board and the cards and that in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the rules here. So once again, in the Barracks Emperors, you play the part of a prominent political faction during the troubled times of the Roman crisis of the 3rd century, attempting to gain control of the imperial throne. You must deploy the influence you have available to you, represented by the cards in your hand, to claim imperial reigns, represented by the historical emperor cards arrayed on the board. But be careful, because politics is a complex game, and sometimes attempting to exert your influence necessitates. Why do I keep stumbling over that word? I know what it is. I know what it means. Necessitates aiding someone else in their own machinations. And yes, I swear, this is just diet soda in here, like always. So it's going over the components. So we have influence cards. We've got a barbarian card or barbarian cards. And then we have emperor cards. So showing those. So our victory points. So it looks like the player with the most legacy points after 3 rounds will win the game. To score, each player adds up the total number of cards they have captured. Each emperor card and each barbarian card counts as 1 legacy point. Then for each set of 3 differently colored emperors, 1 red, 1 blue, 1 yellow, gain an additional bonus of 3 legacy points. And then we have a tie-breaking system. So here's how we'll set the game up. So it looks like we're going to place 13 emperor cards, 4 barbarian cards. Got a barbarian homeland, which I guess are the spaces that have like the crossed axes. Got influence cards. And then we've got, looks like 6 emperors go up into a corner spot as well. So here's our sequence of play. Beginning with the start player, players take turns, 1 at a time, proceeding clockwise around the table. During each player's turn, they perform the following actions in order. Player must either play a card from their hand to the board or discard a barbarian card to move an active barbarian if able. If neither option is possible, player must reveal his hand to confirm card play is impossible, and the round ends immediately. Resolve emperors, if any have been surrounded. If more than 1 emperor has been surrounded, the active player chooses the order in which they are resolved. And then to end his turn, the player must select a new card. So it appears that the round continues until someone can't play a card from their hand. And that's when that round will end, and the game is 3 rounds in length. So, talking about playing a card, resolving emperors. Any emperor that is surrounded by 4 cards must be resolved. If more than one emperor can be resolved, the active player chooses the order in which they are resolved. In some cases, resolving one emperor may cause another emperor to no longer be surrounded and thus not resolved. So I would take a stab that we resolve these emperors that are surrounded, and then you remove the cards that had surrounded them. And that's when you may have emperors who are no longer surrounded, so they wouldn't be resolved. And then just selecting a new card is just select a card from the forum to replace the one you played. Depending on the card that was played, the player is given access to a different subset of the cards in the forum. Okay, that's kind of strange. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say strange, kind of different. So we're going to have, if the player played a card of value 0 to 2, they can choose to select any card. 3 or 4, you can get the 3 leftmost cards. 5 to 6, 2 leftmost cards. And 7 or 8, the leftmost card. And you may not be able to make it out, but it's like the one all the way on the right is an 8. Then we got a 3, and a 1. So here's a little example of that as the forum. We got some special abilities, 2-player rules. Follow all steps and rules for a 4-player game with the following changes. Players are dealt 5 cards at the start of each round. Player 1 plays the Sword and Pillar factions. Player 2 plays the Eagle and Wreath factions. And we have 3-player rules too. So play alternates back and forth, but on a player's turn, they may play an influence card in a legal space for either of their factions. Each player has a single scoring area, and thus it is not necessary to keep track of which of their factions won the Emperor. And we have 4-player partnership rules. Then we got some variations. And our solo rules. There we go. Like I said, I knew there was well, I shouldn't say new. I was pretty sure there was a solitaire like rule set in here. So let me give an example of play. All right. So as you can see, this is how you're going to set up the board here. So when they're talking about surrounding a card, like this blue card here, we've got these empty spots. So if you were to fill those empty spots with cards, then they would be surrounded. And then I think these are the zeros here. I think those are the barbarian cards. All right, now we get our credits. So let's take a peek at the board next. And this looks like it's a pretty decent size. So we may not be fitting the entire board in the shots. Okay, so it's tall, it's not necessarily wide. Okay, so here's our forum down here. So this is where we're going to put those cards that you're going to select. We were talking about, well, what was the value of the cards you played? Or draw deck, discard. Okay, this is where we're going to place the emperors. And then this is where the barbarians are located. And then here we have the Emperors, as well as the Barbarian deck, and then we put 6 Populous Emperors here at the start of the game. So they are pretenders, is what it says. And of course, the board is mounted, so should hold up. I know I talk about it all the time when we're discussing mounted boards and how I'm a fan of mounted boards. That a lot of people who live in areas with very high humidity do not. And I completely understand that. All right, so let's take a look here at the Emperors. There's our Barbarians. I bet you these are all just Barbarians, probably the same card. And then are these Influence? Well, let's see. So that says Emperor cards. Maybe this is the Influence. Like I said, I'm intrigued. Because you certainly do not see too many trick-taking games that are like kind of steeped in real history. Okay, so here are our Barbarians. And then we've got some player aids there. And a Fortified Rome card. So we've got Rome and then Fortified Rome. I'll give you a closer look at this. So there's our Fortified Rome and Roma. And dual-sided player aid card with our player turn and then our scoring on the back. And then the rest are all Barbarian cards in that. So it says you must place this card in any homeland space or discard it to move any active Barbarian to a diagonally adjacent connected space not containing a Barbarian. So there we've got those. And then these are Influence. So they're numbered as well. I'm not going to look at all of these, but should also point out the fine folks over at GMT Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And these days, it's important that you know that. So here's an 8 Triumph. So there's somebody sitting there in the chariot next to the general or the emperor, whispering in their ear that they're mortal like everyone else and they will die. So that was part of the tribute, as far as I recall. It was kind of interesting. So the various different influence cards. So also looks like some of these influence cards are military in nature. So I guess it's kind of abstract, like some of the battles that are taking place. The mob. You know. All right. Pretender. And then we've got Demagogue, which is an 8. Oh, there's some 7s of it too. All right. So these are the influence cards. And then finally, we'll have our emperors and our pretenders to the throne as well. I would take a guess we've got Caesar and Pompey in here. So Gordian the second. Most of these I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the names. Oh, that's easy. Philip II. Okay, I could do that. Decius. So it looks as if we get a little bit of info about them. So they're showing, like, for an example here, Emilian says, proclaimed emperor by Milesian legions, accepted as emperor after the death of Gaius, reigned from June 253 to September 253. And they were assassinated by their own troops. There you go. That's nice. Flaming Heron says, a bit of a history lesson tonight. Okay, so let's see. Oh, there's Claudius II. So let's take a look here. Maybe Caesar and Pompey weren't part of the time of crisis, but I thought they were the conclusion of it. But I could be absolutely wrong. So it's not like I am. Yeah, I've listened to some ancient history audiobooks and that, but I certainly would not claim to be any sort of an expert. And it appears that Caesar and Pompey are not part of the time of crisis. Huh. Actually, now that I think about it, I think the time of crisis actually takes place after, like a couple hundred years after Caesar. I might be wrong, but all right. So we've got the 3 decks of cards. The mounted game board, then the rule book. And that's what we find when we take everything from the Barracks Emperors. Of course, we also have some tokens here as well. We take everything from the Barracks Emperors outside the box. Let's try to see if I can get that cover back on. There we go. All right, once again, this is available right now from GMT Games. It does carry an MSRP of $49. Now, as I mentioned with all GMT releases, when I'm sharing like the unboxings, the first looks, if you have any interest whatsoever in the Barracks Emperors, I recommend pick it up now because the print runs from GMT Games are not huge. And when they sell out, and you don't want to be sitting there either waiting 2 years or more for a possible reprint or having to go to the secondary market and paying an arm and a leg for something you could have picked up at MSRP if you just acted quicker. So cool. I will have a review of the Barracks Emperors in the very near future. Gotta say, I have actually played a little bit of Mr. President from GMT Games. Wow. That's all I'm going to say is wow. So I will have a review of that. I would say maybe the period between Comic Con and Gen Con. See how much more I get an opportunity to play, but really detailed. It's like I said, wow. That's all I'm going to say for now. Okay. So very short week this week because of the 4th of July, only 2 shows. So on tomorrow's show, I am going to take a first look at Uncharted Journeys for 5e from our friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So yes, you voted last week what we were going to be taking a look at on tomorrow's show, and Uncharted Journeys was the winner. That's what we'll be taking a peek at then. All right, that is it for this time out. Quick show. Under an hour. Well, by the time I, sign off and everything, it'll be about an hour. But yeah, usually most recent shows, we've been running hour and a half, a little more than an hour and a half. I didn't have really much random musings going on tonight. I guess that's probably a lot of it. Anywho, that's it for tonight's show. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my review of the Pendragon starter set from Chaosium Inc. And if you happen to have caught this video, you saw I've got a new opening for my review videos. In fact, I've got new openings for my standalone first look videos as well as my review videos. Because, to be honest, I've been using the same intro for about a decade. So I thought, let's change things up a little bit. So, kind of cool. All right, Sarah D chimed in. Very nice. Very nice. Flaming Heron said, chat is sort of slim tonight, so that made the job easier too. Yeah. So Sarah D says, not going to be lurking tomorrow. Going to be taking a long weekend road trip with Mr. Eddie T. Well, enjoy. Have a very good trip and a very safe trip. So, for the rest of you, hopefully I get a chance to see you tomorrow when I take a look at Uncharted Journeys. All righty then. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you were watching live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company while I'm taking a look at stuff inside a game box and things like that, or paging through a role-playing game book. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. I will be back tomorrow, and I certainly hope you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.